Welcome to Kalamax, the Stormsire. So, played a wonderful game against Purphoros, totally forgot to hit the record button, so we're going back to a replay. So I'm going to kind of give you commentary through the video as we go. So, as far as our opening hand goes, it was wonderful. We had 3 lands, we had Cultivate online, so I'm already feeling good. We also have Ral, Storm Conduit, and Channeled Force as a little bit of an extra card draw. Channeled Force wasn't the best card draw source to make extra copies for, but, you know, it was kind of like, beggars could be choosers. It was a great opening hand. So then at this point in the game, we could have gone for Swiftfoot Boots, but I decided to leave up Izzet Charm in hopes that, maybe they had a Mana Rock or something like that. They do end up going for Arcane Signet, so we end up going for Izzet Charm just to kind of counter that one to stop that. And that really allowed us to set up a beautiful domino effect, being able to go for Cultivate and just getting a ton of lands on the battlefield. So we'll get that down. Let's see what else they end up going for, because we end up splitting this down the middle. But yeah, I'm not going to do my normal commentary. I'm just going to kind of go through the game as it happens, because I did figure out that I wasn't recording. And so I tossed on the headset really quick. I was like, not headset, but hit the record button in the late game and then went from there. So this turn, I think we end up going for Ral Zarek. I'm pretty sure we tapped down. No, excuse me, we went for Kalamax. So we go for Kalamax. I was hoping to end up going for Swiftfoot Boots after we got down Kalamax, but I think depending on what we draw into, we end up going for Route. No, I know what we draw into. Yeah, this was get ready for this top deck. Yeah, because we were going to go Swiftfoot Boots and Ral Zarek, and that would have been a very nice setup. But we rip into, let's see, 1,000-Year Storm. So we go for I'm like, yeah, we just got to go for 1,000-Year Storm. So the reason that we go for 1,000-Year Storm right now, instead of going for like kind of a safer utility play of Ral Zarek and Swiftfoot Boots, is simply because both of these are very nice value. Swiftfoot Boots is very good. Ral Zarek is very good. But if something happens to Kalamax, 1,000-Year Storm, Mono Red has no way to deal with an enchantment other than like Chaos Warp and maybe a few other things out there. So basically, this is our win condition now, 1,000-Year Storm. If something happens to Kalamax, it's unfortunate, but we're going to have 1,000-Year Storm to fall back on. So as soon as we top deck that, we're in a really good spot. And even then, we're also in a really good spot because we have Kalamax swinging in. Our opponent has not get down Purphoros yet, and we have an open Cyclonic Rift that we can send Pandemonium back to in response to an activation, whatever that may be. So simply being able to counter that Arcane Signet really kind of set a very nice tempo play for us. So let's go and hit play on this one. But being able to have a copied effect with 1,000-Year Storm and Kalamax on Cyclonic Rift really made a good difference in this particular game. So they end up tapping out for Purphoros. That's all they do for the turn. So this is setting up, like, because we've got 7 total mana at this point right now. And so we could go for an overloaded Cyclonic Rift. But once we tap down with Kalamax, swing in, go for Cyclonic Rift, make a copy of it, it's kind of one of those, I'd rather save the 5 mana instead of just sending Cold Steel Heart back to the hand. So I think this is the play that we end up going for. And it actually kind of ends up working out to where we had Channeled Force. And so that's going to be, yeah, because that, instead of going for an overloaded Cyclonic Rift, that allowed us to go for a copied effect of Cyclonic Rift and still get down Ral Zarek, which is basically the same thing, Cold Steel Heart wasn't that big of an issue. So we start to get some of these Ral Zarek triggers. We're really starting to chip away at our opponent's life total. That's going to send both of those back to the hand, which is such a huge tempo loss to our opponents, because now they have to decide. They're in this factor of, do we go for Pandemonium, do we go for Purphoros? Most of the time they're going to go for Purphoros because that's one of their enablers. And this kind of sets us up for a weird turn next turn, because we have an active 1,000-Year Storm, we have Ral Zarek, and then we draw into a Braid. So we're kind of like, okay, so what do we do this turn? And so this is where I goof up. So in the game, I'm like, all right, so we need to tap down Kalamax to get the copy of Channeled Force, because even though Channeled Force makes us discard a card, if we can make a copy of Channeled Force, target player draws X cards, being 4 mana, draw 4 cards, that's really good. And especially if we go for the -2 off Ral Zarek and make an extra copy of that, we're going to be able to draw 6 cards for 4 mana. Hey, sign me up. So while I'm having that thought process in my head, I'm like, all right, Kalamax need to be tapped. And then I'm like, I forgot to go for Ral Zarek. So we push packs on Ral Zarek. And then this turn, because I was so focused on making sure that Kalamax was tapped. So this is what we end up doing. We end up going for Channeled Force, discarding a Braid and Swiftfoot Boots. We get the 1,000-Year Storm trigger. We get an extra Channeled Force. And we actually end up getting some really nice Storm this turn. And this is where I was so bummed out that we missed on this. So we run into Expansion, go for an immediate copy effect on Channeled Force. That's going to allow us to draw some extra card. We get an extra copy of Expansion targeting Channel Channeling Force. It's getting more Kalamax triggers. And since Channeled Force, let's go ahead and pause it. Since Channeled Force has to target a creature and a player, the player is going to draw cards, deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker. We don't really want to pop Ralzeric because you can see how many triggers we're getting. So with this Channeled Force, I ended up just targeting these 2 damage over to Kalamax. The fact that we were 1 ahead of each spell that we're going to copy basically made it to where we were going to be able to keep sending those damage over there. So that's how that's going to work, is that, you know, Kalamax is sitting at a 7/7. We put a +1 counter on there, but we also deal 2 damage. So basically, it's always going to stay 1 ahead of that 2 damage from Channeled Force. All right, so we draw into 2 more cards. Ancient Tomb, I was really hoping if we ripped into a Lightning Bolt, we might have been able to close it off. And, you know, obviously that's beggars or choosers. But we do rip into Wilderness Reclamation, and we also rip into Impulse. So we're like, okay, so we've got some really good stuff to set up. And like, you know, we're maybe not going to be able to close it out this turn. I was really hoping we could. But the fact that we did have Wilderness Reclamation to kind of set up a turn for next turn, and we just go for this beautiful value play off of Impulse. We hadn't made the land drop for the turn. We draw into that. And at this point, we're just digging for spells that allow us to end up with a really nice Thousand Year Storm. Now, off of that last Impulse, we run into Prophetic Bolt. I'm like, okay, so if we can survive next turn, if our opponent doesn't have some sort of goofy stuff, something that's going to make us, you know, lose immediately to infect damage, we're going to be able to close the game out because we can spend the early turn. And actually, this is when I jump back into commentary. So you may see me kind of jump back into it here in a second. So anyway, enjoy the video. Okay, so I totally forgot to hit the record button on that. That is... Ooh, that stings. I looked over to see how long the video was going, and I did not see the recording going. And I said, ooh. That is bad. So anyway, I've got the video going now. This is Kalamax, so I don't know how I'm going to splice this video up, but I'm definitely going to showcase it in some form or fashion. And so a little bit of a bummer, but you know, sometimes technical issues like that does happen. But we've got a really good showing from Kalamax, so I'm just going to go and jump into commentary. So basically, last turn we had Thousand Year Storm, and we dealt a lot of damage to our opponent. Let's see what our opponent's dropping down. Unless it's some sort of infect damage, we should be able to close the game out. Yeah, that's going to be Wormcoil Engine. The only downside to Wormcoil Engine is that it will have a haste. Not haste, it does have haste, but is that it's going to be able to give that lifelink, which is going to put them up to 15. But I think between Prophetic Bolt, Ancient Tomb, and maybe something like Wilderness Reclamation, we might be able to close it out next turn, especially if we go Heroic Intervention, Growth Spiral, really get those going. So let's see. So they do end up sending Sandstone over to Ral, and that's going to be 6 damage us. It's going to put us down to 21. So yeah, man, I have not hit the record button in a very long time. And to find out, to look over at OBS and see that it's not recording, I was like, oh, that hurt. That hurt really bad. So hopefully the replay works on this pretty well. Opponent's going to go for the Purphoros triggers, or the triggers are going to go on the stack. That's going to be Sacrifice Wormcoil Engine. But yeah, with Prophetic Bolt, because that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And so that's going to be at least 4 damage up top, 4, 8, 12. If we can kind of set up. Yeah, well, we'll see. Let's see what we can assemble. They did drop 2 creatures, and they had open mana, and the only creatures that they really dropped were Wormcoil and Sandstone. So they did draw cards, though. I will say that. So we'll see what else. Let's go for Ancient Tomb. And I think if we're going to set this up, let's do this. So we go for Growth Spiral. Yeah, I think we can close it out this turn. So let's do this. So let's go Growth Spiral. That's going to be green and blue. That's going to be an extra copy. We'll go ahead and put Island onto the battlefield. Let's go for 3 visits. That's going to be an extra copy, 3 visits. It's going to be 2 more lands on the battlefield. And this should be enough for us to not combo off, but storm off. It's going to be Breeding Pool. We'll go ahead and pay 2 life on that one. Then we'll have 1 more land come down. And that is going to be, I think, just a basic forest on this one. But yeah, if we end up going Croson Grip, we can wipe those all of those creatures out. Worm, Cold Steel, and that'll put us up perfectly for Wilderness Reclamation, because that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's going to be good. So we'll have Forest on the battlefield. Let's go for Croson Grip on Cold Steel Heart. Yeah, it's not indestructible. Just want to make sure on that one. There we go. I'm going to 2 more copies of Croson Grip. That's going to be Worm Token and then other Worm Token. And at this point, we're just getting our storm count going for this Prophetic Bolt once we get this Wilderness Reclamation to go through. So let's tap down for Wilderness Reclamation. And then we're at storm count, I think. We'll see what storm count we're at, but once we get this down, it's going to be Heroic Intervention. And that should be enough. Yeah, we're going to have 3 copies, so we're going to have triple. Shout out to Eli. This is a beautiful stack for Eli. I know Jolt always has it. Jolt always has 4 copies of Heroic Intervention. Yes, indeed. So we'll get these 4 copies going, and then once we untap, that's going to be a Prophetic Bolt for 5. So that's going to allow us to close the game out. So that will be very nice. Okay, so let's get to our end step. We're going to be able to untap with all of our mana, and if for some reason we couldn't close it out with Prophetic Bolt, the fact that we're going to be able to untap with our lands and an open 1,000-year storm, that's one of the things that when you're building Kalamax, you do want to keep in mind is that you want to have some sort of plan B for the deck. You want to be able to, if something does happen to Kalamax, you just want to have that core ramp package, that core land drop package. That way, something like Wilderness Wreck is going to allow us to just simply close the game out once we untap all of our lands. So let's go for Prophetic Bolt up top. That's going to be red, blue, tap down Desolate Lighthouse, and tap down on Ancient Tomb for 2. And that's going to be more than enough to close this one out. So it's going to be 4 copies. Oh, look at all these bolts. Same target all across the board on this one. Yes. All right, so click OK. That's going to be 4 damage. Beautiful. We'll grab ourselves Rally Outburst if for some reason we need to keep the party going for some reason, but this should be good. That's going to be another Prophetic Bolt, and let's grab Soul Ring. Let's grab Reverberate, which if we wanted to have even more fun, we could do. And also the Reverberate, I think with Kalamax on the battlefield, you can actually kind of go infinite with Reverberate. Kind of depends on how you have the different spells on the stack, but that is something to keep in mind. And that's going to be Anticipate. There we go. Any order. Puts our opponent down to -1. So good game to our opponent on this one. It's always nice to, we were able to kind of stop that mana rock early in the game, that Arcane Signet, that allowed us to go for that Cultivate, and that really just kind of set the game onto our turn, especially we were able to kind of follow up with Cultivate and just get ahead on land. So anyways, good game to our opponent. It's always nice to, when they get down with an open Purphoros, they have open mana. The worst thing that comes out is Wormcoil and Sandstone Oracle. That is a good feeling. So anyways, if you enjoyed the video, and hey, I do apologize for not giving commentary during the first part. I cannot tell you, how bummed I was when I got to the end of the video, and I'm like, not to the end of the video, when I got to after that last turn, I'm like, all right, that was, oh no, did not hit the record button. So anyway, hope you like this mixed video, and if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Thanks, bye. Welcome to Kalamax, the Stormsire. As far as our opening hand goes, yes, we will keep on this one. I like it. We've got only 2 lands, but with Paradise Mantle, I really like this with Kalamax. So sounds like a pretty good plan. Let's go and lead off with Bloodstained Mire, and let's just go and grab ourselves a red-blue source. I think that'll be good. I'm going to grab ourselves Steam Vents, have that come into play tap, not going to pay 2, and then anything else, pass the turn over to our opponent. But yes, welcome to Kalamax, the Stormsire. Hope you are excited. I know I am. And also a little bit of a editor's note. This is like literally the first game that I'm playing with Kalamax, so it's going to be a unique experience. Let's see how this is going to play out. So playing against Illuna too, which should be a pretty interesting match. We've got the new set commanders, which is always fun to see that. So I'm just going to lead off with a Rootbound Crag, and then hopefully we run into another land. I'd love to get down Gilded Lotus. That would really make this Ancient Tomb, partner. Okay, let's go for Paradise Mantle. Yeah, we're just going to cast that. We'll get that out there, and then we've got a Braid online. We've returned to nature, so we're in a very good spot. So anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn over to our opponent. We're playing Kalamax, the Stormsire. Whenever you cast your first instant or sorcery spell each turn, there we go. If Kalamax is tapped, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. Then, boop, boop, boop. Whenever you copy an instant spell, put a +1 counter on Kalamax. Playing against Illuna, Apex of Wishes. It's going to be Farseek. Yeah, sure, go for that. It's playing against Illuna. Mutate for 6, and then Flying and Trample. Whenever this creature mutates, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land permanent card. Put that card onto the battlefield or into your hand. So let's let them get this Farseek resolved, and then we'll jump back into our turn. And hopefully, if we hit Impulse, so that is actually perfect. So let's go and lead off with Ancient Tomb. And at this point, we're simply just going to go, we can't get down Kalamax either way, so we'll simply just go and pass the turn. We will end up being going for Impulse on our opponent's turn, more than likely, and that still keeps us open on something like a Braid or Return to Nature, so I do like that. We did cover both commanders. Let's give a quick shout out to our sponsors, TCG Player. If you go to bit.ly/Jolt MTG, that will apply my affiliate link, and if you enjoy my content, that is the best way to support the channel, so it works out for you too. All you just click the link and get some cards and support the channel. Also, let's give a quick quick shout out to inkgaming.com. If you go to inkgaming.com/Jolt, you can check out my playmats. I've got a wonderful selection over there, adding new playmats as time goes on. And also, let's give a quick shout out to MTGOTraders. That's going to be a 2/5 dinosaur. Okay. Yeah, let's just go and go for Impulse. I think that'll be good. We'll still go ahead and tap down Ancient Tomb just in case they get down something else. I doubt they will, but we'll just go and leave that mana up just in case we need it. And we are just looking for a land to make for next turn. Just going to put those on the bottom in any order. And then we'll see if we need to use a Braid or Return to Nature. But we should be pretty good after that. But yeah, be sure to check out MTGOTraders. And last but not least, I started a Patreon. If you'd like to directly support cool content like this, there's a link down in the description below. But if you're keeping score at home, I may have to check with my production assistant, Dorothy, who is my cat who's asleep. But I think she did tell me that it is officially free time. So let's have some fun. Let's talk about Kalamax too. I'm really excited to be able to play Kalamax. I wanted to get Kalamax out a little bit sooner. Let's go Catacombs. And I think at this point, we just might end up going for Kalamax. I mean, because we've got Prophetic Bolt, and I really like being able to set up double Prophetic Bolt. So let's do this. Let's go and crack Catacombs. We're going to get a little bit of damage from that Armor Sore over there. But at least this is going to allow us to get down Kalamax and kind of see if the coast is clear. You know, we don't have to worry about any counter magic. There's only one island over there. And if they do have removal, it's going to be damage-based removal, so we'll see if they have something that's at least 4 or less. So I'm just going to grab Tropical Islands, go for old Kalamax. Let's get Kalamax down. There we go. It's going to be blue, red, and then green. Tap down for 2. And let's get Paradise Mantle onto Kalamax. Look at that. There we go. And then anything else, pass it back over there. But yeah, as far as the actual Kalamax itself, this deck, what are we doing? This is not necessarily, you know, there's different ways you can take Kalamax. You know, I did a deck tech on Kalamax, so if you're thinking about building Kalamax, I'll try to put the link down in the description below, and that way you can kind of see the different ways you can take it, because there are a couple different ways that you can kind of go infinite with Kalamax. There's like Reverberate, I think, where you can just basically keep copying the same spell. But when I decided to build Kalamax, or at least this initial build, it's basically just kind of value-based. You know, we've got stuff like Thousand Year Storm. Pretty much our big payoff spells are going to be Prophetic Bolt. Just simply being able to get that extra card advantage and deal some damage is pretty much what this deck wants to do. You know, if we're going to get a 2-for-1, casting Prophetic Bolt, or, you know, like a 4-for-1 with 4 damage and card advantage, that's a pretty good feeling. So let's see what else we're looking at. And also, you can just use cool stuff like Berserk, which is pretty fun. So let's tap down with Forest, or put down Forest, excuse me. And that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That will cut us off of Prophetic Bolt. So at this point right now, actually, no, that won't, because that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That'll be 3, 4. No, that'll be just enough for Gilded Lotus. So let's go and get Gilded Lotus down. Because with Kalamax being Paradise Mantle, that'll be just perfect. So we'll have Gilded Lotus come down, and then anything else, just kind of kick it back over there. We could swing in, but we're looking at a 4-4 right now, so I really like to get this Prophetic Bolt during our opponent's turn, especially if they end up going for Illuna or something like that. That will be 5 total mana for them to go for Illuna, and then just getting that extra Prophetic Bolt to tag along will be a pretty nice feeling. We do have Nexus of Fate in here. Typically, I'm not an extra turn person, but if we can get an extra Nexus of Fate going and copy with Kalamax, that's kind of, you know, pretty much going to be one of our win conditions, because that's going to allow us to, you know, find stuff like Prophetic Bolt or get down Thousand Year Storm and kind of go from there. We do have a Spellslinger package in here too. We have Young Pyromancer. We've got Saheeli in here. We have Murmuring Mystic, Talrand. We just got a lot of just kind of fun stuff. Just kind of, it's almost like a Riku deck without it being all the real big payoff spells. You know, just being able to cast these 5-mana spells that give us some really nice incremental value is exactly what we want to do. So let's see what our opponent's tapping out for. But it was just such a good feeling having Paradise Mantle in here. All right, so our opponent's going to end up going for Chaos Warp on Kalamax. So let's go and tap down Kalamax. Let's add red to our mana pool. Let's go for Prophetic Bolt. I think at this point what we'll end up doing is probably just sending both of it up top. Yeah, I think that does work out. So let's go triple blue. And this is going to be 2 Prophetic Bolt. And I think we'll still just go and keep it up top. We're not really worried about Armor Sore dealing us a ton of damage. And, you know, just the fact that we're going to be able to deal 8 damage up top to our opponent is going to be pretty good. And also, we are playing against Slow Player 1. Slow Player 1 is one of my favorite people to play. I always like to think of the Magic Online 1v1 room as kind of like a... local gaming store or, for the world. And so Slow Player 1 is one of my favorite players to play against. They typically have a lot of cool decks. So let's go and get this Prophetic Bolt. Let's get this Kalamax trigger. Yeah, we're going to keep it the same target. So it's going to be 8 damage up top. Oh, get that +1 counter. We'll take it. And then we can, we're at a point now where we have Gilded Lotus. So even if something does, like Chaos Warp happens to Kalamax, we can still recast it, and we still have Paradise Mantle, which is going to be a pretty nice feeling. Okay, and our opponent does end up going for Mana Drain on our initial Prophetic Bolt, so at least we still get something to show for it. That's going to be the copied spell. I'm going to get the +1 counter to 5/5, but it's going to be Chaos Warp. Maybe we get something pretty nice off the Chaos Warp, like Thousand Year Storm. That would that would be pretty good. And actually, the Armor Soar out there, I'll tell you about one of the best flips off of Gashath here in a little bit. That dinosaur reminded me of. Just getting some really nice top decks of free spells. And well, actually, while we're waiting for this to resolve, I'll go and tell it. I was playing Gashath, and we're playing against our opponent, and it was just like it wasn't even an alpha swing. We were going to lose on the back end, so it was just kind of like, all right, let's just cast a Gashath, and actually Prophetic Bolt. One card goes into our hand. I think at this point, we just might end up going for Expansion and Explosion, because that does allow us to at least kind of cash in some really nice card draw, even if we can't go for Kalamax. So let's put those on the bottom in any order. Let's keep our fingers crossed for that Thousand Year Storm. Or we'll get Saheeli. We'll take that. And then, let's see. And then anything else, yeah, we'll go and pass turn. Now, they can swing in with Runic Armorsar, but one of the good things about getting Saheeli is we can actually have Saheeli become a copy of Gilded Lotus, and this is going to make this expansion very, very nice, because we can actually just send that damage straight up to our opponent, and then, yeah, just kind of really pop them for a ton, because that's going to be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, -4. So we're going to end up with about 8 cards, 8 damage to our opponent. I feel like that's a pretty good option. And that's not another good thing about when you're building Kalamax, is that you do want to keep in mind that you still want to have a lot of ramp in here. You want to be able to, if something does happen to Kalamax probably is going to be a pretty big target at the table, because people typically don't like free spells or copied spells. And so simply just kind of making sure that you have enough mana rocks in your deck building will allow you to just kind of rebound with something like Explosion. We're going to be in a very good position drawing all those cards, even just including some extra X spells, which actually I don't think I have those in here. Typically when I build a new commander, especially something like Kalamax, I just kind of have this core concept. I'm like, all right, let's just kind of build this teamer, mid-range spellslinger deck. And then once we kind of get a few more games under our belt, I kind of adjust it from there. So if you've already built Kalamax, if you enjoy playing Kalamax and you have some ideas, hey, hop in the comments. I always enjoy reading them and getting different kind of play insights to kind of see where we should take a certain deck. So with our opponent being tapped out and we saw Mana Drain, we're going to just go for a main phase expansion. So we're going to make a copy of Gilded Lotus. Actually, let's make sure we're doing this right. Target artifact you control becomes a copy of target artifact or creature. Okay, so it's going to be Gilded Lotus. It's going to become, there we go, Paradise Mantle. It's going to become a copy of Gilded Lotus. Yes, there we go. Okay, so we have double Gilded Lotus. Let's go ahead and go for an expansion. X to that, and let's go ahead and deal us drawing cards. So there we go. There we go. We're going to draw 8 cards and send X damage up to our opponent, and we get a servo token to tag along. So, thank you very much, Saheeli. We're probably still going to lose her either way, because they're going to be able to swing in with 2 creatures if they want to get rid of her. But at least having an extra token out there is always a nice feeling. So, let's get this 8. Oh, yeah, there we go. As far as any land drops that we want to make, that's going to be, yeah, I guess at this point we'll just end up going for Island. And just so we don't have to discard, because we can't cast anything else, we're just going to go for a Springleaf Drum. Have Springleaf Drum come down. Actually, yeah, that'll work out, because we'll get an extra servo token, and we can protect Saheeli, and then hopefully kind of rebound from there. So, anything else, let's go and pass the turn. Now, we do have 10 cards in hand, so we do need to discard down to hand size. I think at this point, we'll definitely, yeah, let's go and get rid of our Braid, because I just like Return to Nature, keeping us pretty open. I do like Repeated Reverberation. Twinning Staff actually works out really well for what we're trying to do. And then Fatal Frenzy. Yeah, I actually do kind of like... So let's do this. We have a ton of mana. I do like having the land drop for next turn. Let's get rid of Skyshroud Claim. That's going to be 1, 2... And then actually, yes, Connection. That's going to be a perfect thing to get rid of. So anything else, pass the turn to our opponent. So we've got some pretty good options in our hand. We can actually set up Berserk and Fatal Frenzy. And so if we end up going Kalamax... Because this is not going to give Kalamax haste or anything. Fatal Frenzy's not. I don't think it will. Let's double check. Until end of turn, target creature gets trampled plus X. Okay, so we still need to at least cast Kalamax, but at least we might have pretty much some sort of win condition with Berserk and Fatal Frenzy over there. Because once we swing in with Kalamax and we go for these combat tricks, that's going to be a ton of power bonus and even something like Kessig Wolfrun if we wanted to set that up too. So we might be able to one-shot our opponent. And that's one of the fun things about building a Kalamax deck, or at least kind of having this Spellslinger core package, is that even if something does happen to Kalamax, you can still kind of flood the board with tokens, with servos, and then once you get to that point where you've just drawn a ton of cards, you can set up these crazy board states with like Twinning Staff, Repeated Reverberation, so we can get in for a lot of damage, especially if our opponent ends up tapping out. So we'll see. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to swing in just yet, and also, no, excuse me, they're going to go for Mutate, so we'll see what this is. Okay, so this is going to be Silver-clad Ferocidon. Whenever it's dealt damage, each opponent sacrifice. Okay, alright, so let's see what we can do about that. That's going to be Forerunner of the Empire, deals 1 damage to each creature. And then we have to sacrifice a permanent. Okay, so I guess at this point, we're actually just going to get rid of Springleaf Drum. I think we're okay with that at this point, because either way, we're going to be able to put Paradise Mantle onto Kalamax, and that's going to give us the option of at least tapping down for mana if we want to do that. And also, if you are building Kalamax, if you have Paradise Mantle on Kalamax, tapping down... Excuse me, I'm thinking of Convoke. But with Convoke is part of the casting cost on a spell, and that's where you tap down a creature to help pay for some of that. And so if you do use Convoke with Kalamax, it does get that copied ability, because by the time Kalamax is tapped, that's part of the cost, it's already tapped, then that trigger happens. So a little bit of a, just a little housekeeping, kind of keep in mind. All right, so we've got the Forerunner swinging in at Saheeli, and we have Illuna swinging at us. That will put us down to 14, so we do need to watch out for commander damage. Not necessarily commander damage. I don't know what's going to come first, either commander damage or our life total. But being at 14 with, yeah, pretty much lethal on the board next turn. Yeah, because that's going to be 8, 6. That's going to be 14 right there. So we actually do need to get something going on our side of the battlefield. They are down to 3 cards in the hand. So if Silverclad is dealt damage, we can at least still block with Kalamax, but that still doesn't really help us out any. Let's see what we can come up with. We do have Dig Through Time with definitely an open graveyard, so we can always tap down for that to kind of find something. Maybe dig for Cyclonic Rift. Alright, so it's going to be Talrand. Let's have Kessig Wolfrun come down. And I guess at this point, if we go for Talrand... Actually, let's go ahead and have Talrand come down. That's going to be triple blue, because I still like going for a Dig Through Time. Let's go and tap down Kessig Wolfrun. So we have a Talrand coming down. Let's go for Dig Through Time. That's going to be double blue. That's going to give us an extra Drake token. At this point, maybe we can kind of survive this turn. We might be able to use Berserk as kind of a little bit of a last-minute removal spell or something. I don't know. We'll see. But let's see what this Dig Through Time has for us. And actually, we're one away from Thrix on blue. It's going to be Croson Grip and Chromatic Lantern. Not the best Dig Through Time, so I guess at this point, if we're just going to grab something that might help us with a spell count or something, I guess we just go for Croson Grip. We can't cast Thrix at this point right now. Yeah, I guess we, having Thrix is decent. The rest of the stuff is just kind of mess. So let's go and put that on the bottom, and that's going to be Repeated Reverberation for 2, which is not really much else. At least we can still kind of block next turn and still have access to something like Fatal Frenzy or Berserk. And if we want, yeah, with Berserk, you can actually use it as a little bit of a combat trick to kind of get rid of a creature. Cast a spell before combat damage checked. No, excuse me, they're going to get trample. So depending on what creature we want to get rid of, if we end up giving that +X, that's going to be 12. If we're blocking on Silverclad, we might be able to stop and get rid of Illuna. That's still going to give us an extra Drake token. Now, it looks like our opponent is tapping out completely, so let's see it's going to be Kindred Summons. Choose a creature type and reveal cards. Oh, no. Okay, yeah, that's going to go through. So choose a creature type, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal X creature cards of the chosen type, or X is the number of creatures you control of that type. And so, oh, look at that. Okay, let's let this happen. That's going to be extra damage. We're going to have to sacrifice permanents. Oh no. Yeah, so I think that Raptor Hatchling, they're going to get the extra dinosaurs too, because those dinosaurs are going to enter the battlefield. Okay, so it's going to be another dinosaur. That's going to be another 1 damage, which unfortunately is going to clean out our entire board. And then I think that makes it lethal on that one. Oh, look at that. Like Kindred Summons from the Wind. Good game to our opponent. I always enjoy playing against Slow Player 1. They have very unique decks sometimes, and kind of seeing this Illuna dinosaur team or tribal is always a nice feeling. So let's go and sacrifice Paradise Mantle. Either way, we're not going to be able to stop this. We've got a motley crew of cards in our hand, but nothing's going to stop the lethal swing in from our opponent. So we'll go and sacrifice a Gilded Lotus. That's going to be a Karuga trigger where they get to draw a card. Yeah, and Karuga's a dinosaur. Yeah, dinosaur hippo. Yeah, that is that's some good that's some good magic right there. Okay, so we got the entire crew swinging in. That's going to be 14 coming across, exactly just enough to close the game out. And good game to our opponent. You know, it's always nice to play against a fun build of Illuna, and to see Illuna team or dinosaurs. Hey, that is some good magic right there. So might be a couple different things I kind of changed with Kalamax. Maybe add in a few more counter spells just to kind of add some more protection. But anyways, if you enjoyed your time with Kalamax, hey, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.